Can you be a Viking in today's modern world? I know I'm supposed to say no, but you know what? I don't want to. Let me explain. From time to time people will tell me, you're not a Viking. And it seems like they find great joy in telling me that for some reason. So let's take the obvious first. The Vikings were people who came from predominantly Scandinavia, and they went raiding, exploring, conquering. It was not a people, it was an activity, you could say. So in that sense, obviously there are no more Vikings today. The word itself comes from Vik, which means basically a fjord. I live here by a fjord called Viking, and it has been said that you would have people, pirates, doing ambush attacks. They would wait in the fjords, the viks, so to speak, and when trading ships sailed past, they would row out and rob that ship. So they would be lying there waiting in the viks, in the fjords, and hence the name Vikings. And in that sense, you know, you could say, obviously there are no more Vikings today, and you know, that's the simple answer, I guess, and that's what people are referring to when they say that you're not a Viking. And I will see it in the comment section all the time, actually, and it strikes me as a little bit odd why people have the need to say that. And I think it's not necessary, and I think it's also not correct to say to people that you can't be a Viking, because the word itself has a different meaning today. And I think that's important. I think that we must understand that it means something to people and to some people's identity. The Viking spirit. Let's not discredit that. It's important. And the same goes for other identities, I guess. A lot of people in America, they want to be a cowboy. And you will see them, I see them on the television. They wear a cowboy hat inside the house. That's fine. But, you know, obviously they're not herding cattle for a living. It's part of sorry, excuse my words here. It's part of an identity. Now, I will say a few words about dressing up, because I heard that as well. You're dressing up. Well, actually, I don't really feel that I'm dressing up. This is more like connecting with that identity and with nature. And for me, as a historical novelist, my name is Bjorn, by the way. As I said, I'm a historical novelist. For me, this is a way of connecting and better understanding the characters in my novels, Viking Age historical novels. And I've learned a lot from just walking in their shoes, so to speak. So I guess we're all dressing up. When you go to work, maybe you put on a suit, you have a tie. There is no use in that tie, it's just a decoration. So you're dressing up. When you go to the gym, you're dressing up. We all dress up all the time. Of course, you can wear modern clothes and be a Viking. It's not about it's not about the clothes, it's about your attitude. I see a lot of people, they wear the Mjolnir, the Thor's hammer, to kind of signalize maybe that that's their identity. And I think that's beautiful. I think it's wonderful. We should be very proud of our identity, you know. Now I'm Norwegian and I'm a Norse, that's my ethnic group. Maybe you're a Saxon in England, and if you are, you have reason to be proud of that. Maybe you're a Cherokee in America, and again, if you are, you have reason to be proud of that. And I think this push towards everyone being the same, you know, even men and women should be the same now. I think that's, first of all, it's never going to work, and also it's going to create pushback, and it's going to create, and it is creating, hatred and frustration. So let's not do that. Let's not do that. Let's be more unique. Let's be more in touch with who we really are, because that's what it's about. We are all in search of an identity, and we start searching for that identity already as children. So why don't we try to pick a positive one? I usually say that I'm a Norseman. I tend to not say that I'm a Viking, because I know that people will misunderstand. Most people, they do not understand what it means to be a Viking. And they think that it's like being one of those characters in the TV show Vikings, you know. So that's why I don't really like using that word about myself. So I say that I'm a Norseman. And I am. Ethnically and everything. That's my ethnic group. And you know, to me it's about connecting with nature, my roots, the land, and I think that's important. I think that those out there who love to say you're not a Viking, they should think twice, because okay, if you really want to say that, then you really have to apply that to everyone else as well then. So let's say you are in the USA and you have a strong connection with, you know, the cowboy lifestyle. I'm not going to tell you that you're not a cowboy. Why would I do that? Maybe that's important to you. And there's another thing that needs to be talked about and explained a little bit, okay? We don't have a word for the Norse in Norwegian, and I think it's the same in Swedish and Danish. So the ethnic group, right? We don't have a word for that for some reason. We say the Vikings, which is in a way incorrect, because only a few of those people actually went Viking. But we don't have a word for the people, except Viking. We say the Vikings. So my ancestors, the Vikings. That's just how it is in my language, my native language, and for that reason you will probably hear me saying now and then that, you know, I refer to the people as the Vikings, even though that's a little bit incorrect. You know, it's difficult to, even when I speak English, it's difficult to get that habit out of my language, so to speak. And there's another thing that I think I will mention. It's a little bit politically charged, I guess. So yeah, but I'll just briefly mention it because it matters. There are people who say, why don't you just call yourself a Norwegian then? Well, I could. I am obviously Norwegian. Isn't that enough? Do you have to call yourself a Viking? Well, I don't go around calling myself a Viking, but yeah, I get the point. But here's the thing. Norwegian, what does that mean today? Or Swedish or Danish? It just simply means someone who has a Norwegian or Swedish or Danish citizenship. So it could be someone with an ethnic background from, I don't know, Africa. And by definition, if they have a Norwegian citizenship, they are Norwegian in that sense. So I don't want to make this a debate about immigration or anything like that. I'm just trying to say that, is it so bad if people like myself have a need to identify as an ethnic group that is specific to me and my ancestral lines? Is that so bad? I know that in, for instance, England, this is much more politically charged. But it's like, if you're a Saxon in England, as I've said before, yes, be proud of that identity. And I get it, like if you say that you're English now, well, it's like almost anyone can say that. But if you're Saxon, not everyone can say that. If you have Saxon background, or in my case, or ancestry, or in my case, Norse ancestry, that sets you apart from the other ethnic groups, so to speak, in your country. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think that we should try to hide that or deny that. I think we should be proud of that. The Viking spirit is a rebellion against modern society. It's a rebellion against all these rules and all these. The modern society is so, you feel like you're boxed in. You're limited. Everything is limited, and you can't do this, you can't do that, and it's the Viking spirit is a rebellion against that, and I think that's important, and it matters. The Viking spirit is not going to just bend the knee to whatever our governments are telling us. I also feel that when people say you're not a Viking, they are trying to put you back in that box. You know what I'm saying? Those are the kind of people who can't accept that we're different. We're not all the same. And also I think there's a little bit of envy there. Now, I am Norse. I have someone in my family did research on the ancestral lines, and yes, they do go back to the Viking age, and there are several well-known figures in my family tree back there. Some very interesting people. That's the kind way of putting it. So, I do have Norse, or, well, actually Viking, because they were Vikings, Viking ancestry. And I'm proud of that, and I'm not going to let anyone put me into a box and where I just have to be like everyone else. No, not going to accept that. The Viking spirit is strong in me. And you know what? I've seen in the comments, this matters to people. A lot of you guys and girls, you have that Viking spirit too. Now you see, it's very practical to have this hat. So if anyone out there kind of felt the need to make fun of my hat, the joke's on you. Yeah. Okay. Some chanterelles. I won't pick them all because in a few days they will be much bigger, so I will be back then. Yeah. Okay. By the way, this community here, you know, it's a wonderful, friendly community, and it's very simple to become part of this community. You just click that subscribe button, maybe leave a comment, and I upload videos every week, and I would be delighted to have you on board, so to speak. This is a good place to be. This channel, these videos, I think, you know, my intention is to kind of create a space where people can come and breathe, and to disconnect from the hustle and bustle of modern life, you know. And you don't have to be a Viking to come here and be part of this community. So yeah, click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Okay, and there should be other videos popping up on the end screen that I do recommend. So that's all for now. I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye bye. They like, I think this is called clover in English. So they like that.